Okay. So, I'm using Streamlabs. I probably have their logo on this because I'm using a free account, but also, I mean, that kind of proves my existence here. I feel like I get, Streamlabs is a trusted enough name that people will believe this is really me and this is really live, is all I'm saying. Like, this is really, really real. I'm really here. I'm really saying these things on the internet. All right. I'm about to Twitter because this is my first time. I just sort of decided, like, on a whim to do this, honestly. I mean, I've been thinking about all this content stuff for a really long time. I've had a long time to acclimate to my current environment and think about getting streaming set up and all that stuff, and, focusing on that instead of other things and kind of turning my whole world around. All right, I'm live on YouTube, I guess. Right now. Oh, let's see. I guess I should bring up the URL. Beep. So. Oh, all right. Yeah, I see it. I see us. There we are. Oh, wow. I like it. Actually, my thumbnail looks pretty good. Snap. Let me see here. That looked all right. Where is my channel? The other one. This is a little confusing. I did some things in my account. I actually have two YouTube accounts. I was using one as a viewer, and then I was trying to use one for content, but it didn't really, I feel like it was backwards the way, and then I tried to kind of view channel. I tried to, okay, yeah, that's what I thought it did. Yeah. Here we go. All right. It's like after I get some number of views, I can change my URL. And I think for sure I'm gonna change my URL. I feel like I should post, hold on. I'm gonna look in my Canva real quick. So I'm gonna load this tweet up with stuff. Also, I'm gonna let some other people on some other places know. I think it looks pretty good. There's my little, I have to use my scarf for my mouse pad. All right, yeah, so I'm still sort of like, obviously, here we go. Getting used to going live, I mean, I realize, like, it doesn't look as good if you're not ready and haven't done everything, like, letting people see you tweet that you're live, letting people see you get set up. It's like, I think there are definitely people who do both, but people who are more like teachers let people see them get ready, and people who are more like grifters create an illusion. of preparedness or anything that they want it to seem like. Oh, this is cool. All right. I'm not trying to make this profound or anything at the moment. All right. So, it's not that I'm not prepared to talk about this. I just think it's going to take a really long time. Like hours upon hours, maybe as many hours of Jordan's content as I've watched. Dozens of hours. You know, I've seen dozens of different hours of his content. He was all over the place for several years. Jordan has come back up. I mean, we can just get into it because I'm a nut like that. But Jordan has come back up, and I'm a little concerned again. I mean, honestly, his drug-fueled odyssey that he was on, I can relate to because I've been on drugs I shouldn't have been on, psychotropics that I shouldn't have been on. Zoloft, even though Zoloft, it doesn't seem like a really dangerous benzo. Zoloft is as addictive as, I don't want to say as addictive as heroin, but when I was on the most you can be on, which is 200 milligrams. When you're on 200 milligrams of Zoloft, coming off of that is like coming off of heroin. There's no difference. You will shit and puke your guts out at the same time. Whoops, like I said it, but it's true. Like, and it's an SSRI. Right now I'm on an SNRI called duloxetine. Brand name is Cymbalta. Everybody has seen a Cymbalta commercial somewhere. And hold on one second. I'm doing like 3 things at once. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm on that as an off-label for chronic pain disorder. They treat fibromyalgia and myofascial pain syndrome with duloxetine. And there are several co-occurring conditions with both of those 2 chronic pain disorders. And some doctors are disputing even whether or not they're just sort of 2 types of the same. Like if they're both fibromyalgia basically, and they need to think about the categorization or the grouping of them differently. So like that's actually being established right now because the logic of it, I guess, is up for debate since they don't know enough about why these 2 chronic pain disorders would be so similar and yet not really the same thing, actually. I'm not going to get into that in this video. This is definitely not the nuanced chronic pain video about, what it's like and all of that. But I am having a flare-up at the moment. However, it's maybe the best flare-up I've ever had, thanks to my wonderful chiropractor, who is not sponsoring this video, but I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything either. I'm just saying it was real for me. He definitely helped me. I was in sad shape when I started going to him 5 months ago. So yeah, I'm really, really hoping that Jordan can see me as a person who has been through similar things as him, okay? But I am somebody who also needs support in my life, and he has a lot more of that than I do. I'm not jealous. I'm not going to lie about Jordan, and I'm not going to lie about anybody else, okay? I'm not going to have my theory be the norm. Okay, I'm going to interpret probably the way things are in the current state of the world is how I like to see it because I love game theory. I like to see the current state of the world as far as information usually is how I see that. Information, doing my best guessing, trying to science things if I can. However, I can't afford school, so, there's no hope for that at the moment. I don't have credentials like he does. I'm not a PhD in anything. I don't even have an undergraduate degree. But since we're on the topic of credentials, I maybe should just get over the hill. I've been an anarchist for a long time. Yes. I have been, and I am on this platform right now, because I think that I actually need to put something in public, out there in public. Like, I think it's actually very important. I'm taking it very seriously. I will receive critique or whatever. I'm not doing this to try to display my political beliefs or preferences. I'm not trying to bring people in to Antifa, which I'm extremely involved in, by the way. But I'm not trying to, I am not trying to pander or propagandize anything. I promise you. It's not worth it. Okay? If I wanted to do that, I would be lying to people or misleading people or misinterpreting laws and going down rabbit holes, but actually in the wrong way. And, maybe people can rationalize what I'm saying. Maybe they can't, and they're just going to try to play straight and narrow, moral target practice, whatever. Okay? I don't want to discuss anything in the culture war right now, except for the thing I'm bringing to the table, which is Jordan Peterson, despite his, like I said, I guess harrowing benzo odyssey and trip to Russia, whatever, and everybody, surrounding him in a safe space, sort of, after all of that. Yeah, whatever sickness it was. I mean, Michaela is the one who knows about that stuff. Honestly, I just knew he was sick. He had developed some kind of rare thing because of being on the benzos. And I'm like, I get it, like Jordan is having a hard time, but also it makes a lot of sense for me to bring this up right now, even though Jordan is having a hard time. Okay. Maybe Jordan having a hard time right now is the time that Jordan needs to realize, Jordan, like, that's not an excuse to do what you did. All right. Like, you didn't do this first of all. So, and either way, it doesn't really matter. I don't care about your feelings as much as you want me to. Okay. Like, I'll be frank with you. It doesn't matter to me if this hurts your heart or, I don't know, rubs you the wrong way or makes you think you have to tell me how to go live my life or have a child. I already have a child, Jordan. He's 21 years old. I'm 38. We're not going to discuss my relationships or what I should be doing with my life, okay? I have a life. I don't want to hear your BS about anything in my life, okay? We are not going to talk about me or my credentials. We are talking about you because you are the one who has put dozens and dozens and dozens of hours out there that I have consumed. And I believe you wanted to be caught doing something naughty, okay? That's what I believe, Jordan. That is one way of saying it. There are many ways. I could display many attitudes about it. Many emotions could come through. It doesn't mean that everything is always aligned or that I'm some kind of cognitive machine that has a perfect representation in reality. Okay? I know that, Jordan. I know that people don't have to make sense. I know that it's just going through the motions to get through it a lot of times. I get it, okay? I know. However, I cannot explain honestly why you would do this. And I think you know what you did, because of the title of the video. And I think you know that you were going to get caught by a smart person who was going to see things that nobody else could see. And even if other people did see it, they wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't be able to really connect the dots and calcify that information. I think you know, Jordan, that someone like me, who can obsessively remember things accurately with patterns. Okay, I have savant syndrome, Jordan. It's not a joke. but I think, you know, you didn't necessarily know it was a savant, but I think you knew that somebody might figure it out. And I think you knew that you were going to have to admit it. I really do. But I don't know what you're going to do. You know, your emotions could dictate something you didn't plan. Okay? And a bad idea or a bad decision, you know, based on fear, based on you just reacting or not knowing how to handle it, based on you being in whatever state you're in. I don't know, maybe you're even brain damaged. I'm brain damaged. You know, I got savant syndrome because of my PTSD being so freaking crazy for so long. I had a repressed memory. We can talk about repressed memories if you want to, I suppose, but I would like for you to look at the Harvard research on that if you haven't. I have a novel thing, Jordan. I'm the only person in the world who has the savant syndrome that I have and can do what I can do with it. You know, I draw perfectly sideways, optical, illusory, surrealist illustrations without understanding or knowing what the fuck I'm drawing at all the entire time. They're speed drawings. They're very speedy. They take about 2 minutes. You know, I just use this app that I found one day, and I just literally like do very little, but so much with my finger, because every single like, you know, fingerprint crater's worth of movement does something on this app in my drawing. And so it's literally like I'm, you know, like Stephen Wiltshire, he has the photographic memory and he can memorize like a whole city flying over it in a helicopter and then draw it. For me, it's like I'm like into the minutia so much that it's insane. You know, like I can do intricate artistic representational details with the very tip of my fucking finger, okay? And not even know what it is I'm doing with it. Okay? Like, I'm a girl, all right? I am definitely a girl. Like, I definitely, you know, I definitely have some fine-tuned skills literally at my fingertips. Okay? That's a real thing right now. I'm the only one in the world, Jordan, who can do this. Like, it's novel and it's profound. I can talk about Nadia, the savant. I can talk about all kinds of nonverbal savant stuff that goes on in my head, the way I see my brain communicating with my mind. I see it when my savant engine is revving, okay? I get it. I am not narcissistic at all, like hardly at all. Like, it hurts me, okay? It really hurts me physically. You know, I've had way worse problems than you. And I know you were an alcoholic, Jordan, but you have no idea what it's like to be so traumatized with a repressed memory for decades and then basically to be brain damaged to the point that, you know, your brain is changing. My personality changed a little bit, not a lot, but I'm not the same person. I'm not really the same person I was. I didn't have an inner self really at all. For a long time, I had no inner voice when I was a kid, and I couldn't really hear the sound of my own voice until my late 20s-ish, early 30s. I mean, I can hear myself now. Like, I can hear the volume of my voice. I can hear the way I can actually hear it. My own voice used to sound extremely muffled in my own head. Like, I would talk, but it was like there was nothing really there. As far as what I thought about it, really what I thought about anything. I mean, it was like I didn't have a self for so long. But like literally my, all right, we're back. Hold on. Sorry about that. Right. But it's just like, yeah, we're going. So yeah, I had to develop that, and I have a lot more of it now, but I had so much freaking trauma, Jordan. You have no idea. I had so much, and things just kept happening to me for so many years, and it was relentless, and it was like a meat grinder, and it was just crazy, I can't relate to you having the kind of support system that you have around you, or like a family that loves you or anything like that. I can't relate to that. So like I have two family members, one that I don't really talk to, but I know that he knows his brother, my father, is a narcissist. I know that. We know that. And we don't even have to say it to each other. And we don't have to talk about my dad to each other or what he did. We know that we know. Do you know what I mean? Like, we got it. It's really obvious. And my mother is a real fascist, Jordan. A real one. I'm not here saying words that don't make sense, okay? I'm not. I just don't think that you can relate to me, which is why I really don't want you dictating things at me, okay? Or about me or whatever. I'm just telling you, it's really not your place right now, all right? Like, you can criticize everybody else if you want to, because I'm just somebody who had to be a victim product of society, like had to be, in order to be what I am actually right now. And that's the truth. And I didn't want it. So I don't want to I don't want to ruin your life, Jordan. I don't think that your life is ruinable. I'm not dumb. I like to do things that are successful, actually. I do like to win. I do like to get things done. I do like to succeed at what I want to do. And I've thought about what to say to you for years, because I've known about this for years, Jordan. I've known about how they are clueless. And you know what I mean. And I know that you know what I mean, Jordan, because I've watched you. Not everybody can say that they understand people that they see or watch, but I think I'm better than almost everyone at that. I mean, I'm joking, obviously, but not entirely. I guess the question is, why do I care about terrorism or whatever it is that I'm implying here or implicating people for? I'm not accusing Jordan of terrorism. I'm not saying that he's a terrorist. I'm not. I'm not saying that because I know the rules. Okay. I understand law, Jordan. I am very good at it. Okay. I'm better at it than some lawyers, even some good lawyers. And they have told me, okay, because I'm working a case right now as a plaintiff, and you basically have to become a lawyer sometimes if you want to win a lawsuit that you need to bring. Okay. I mean, there are a lot of people who understand that, and it's infuriating. All right. It is freaking infuriating. You, on the other hand, are not good at law. I will say that. You are just as bad as the people you detest at law. And even, but some of the people you detest, I think, are actually maybe good at law, and you just don't understand them. And then again, it gets some of the stuff that is swirling around in the discourse or whatever gets so lost that I'm like, do they even know who they're talking about? Like, do they know, like, that these people out here in society, the underlings or whatever, transmitting, I'm not going to say the wokeness or the CRT, but the stuff that gets called that, basically the more aggressive, socially abrasive stuff. Like, do you know those people are confused about, like, even what they're talking about? And a lot, yeah, I understand that Robin is confusing people deliberately because she's a narcissist. I understand that. I know you're not going to come out and say that she's a vulnerable narcissist, but I think it's pretty obvious because my mother is one as well. So I see it. I don't know why other people aren't, like, screaming it, but to me, I think it's fairly simple. She talked to, like, one black woman and immediately thought she knew exactly what she meant when she said things. And I'm thinking, I've seen Robin's interviews where she talks about this story, and I'm thinking, I wouldn't have interpreted it that way, honestly. Like, if it were me, I probably would have thought she was being totally facetious, trying to elbow jab me by calling me racist, and trying to get me to be like, oh my God, that's so funny. And then I could tell her my story about how I escaped the KKK because, my mom introduced me to it, basically, and I can't deny that anymore. But, like, I've had to think about black people in a different way than a lot of basically all white people my age, and with very few exceptions. I mean, I'm not trying to be totally logical here, but it's, I grew up in a society that was post Jim Crow, and yet I grew up with a Jim Crow childhood, basically. Okay, so, I usually don't care what a lot of these people are saying about I'm white and therefore I have to say I'm racist. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not a white supremacist, actually. Like, I had to run from them, and I did live under them, actually. So I've lived under white supremacy, not you 22-year-old white private school student. Like, no, you have not. Oh, you go to you go to a Catholic school in Northern Virginia or something, so you live under white supremacy? Like, what, like your mom went to UVA? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what do you mean you live under white supremacy? Like, are you out of, what are you talking about? Like, I listen to a lot of media, okay? None of the right-wingers that people might try to associate me with right now have thought of me or my example, because that's not what they do. Okay, they don't think about the exceptions and the individuals falling through the cracks. Right? And so here's Jordan thinking, I'm gonna make a crack for me to fall through, him, not me. And let's see what I can get away with. And that's exactly what Jordan would do, because he's this experimental psychologist guy who is thinking, oh, I can totally manipulate people and screw with people, and they will trust me, and I get to interpret that as they wanted something bad out of me or from society. I get it, Jordan. People are aggressive. You know, they are. They're socially freaking aggressive like apes, and they do irrational, crazy, dumb stuff, and they form coalitions that are warlike, and they fight each other, and men are horrific. The end. I get it, Jordan. Okay? But why did you do what you did? I'm not even gonna tell people exactly, even though I've done it. I'm not gonna get too in depth. This is just the first, I don't know, hour or so, however long I guess I'm gonna stream this. You know, me just trying to, I guess, warm you up to the idea that you're caught, because I caught you, Jordan, and I know that you know what I'm talking about. Don't play games with me, Jordan. Do not. I'm not that person, okay? I am not the dumb person that you know wouldn't have caught you. You know that somebody who doesn't know A does not equal B, Jordan. You know, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into how I've learned things or what I've read or any of that in this video. If you want to see me reading Durkheim, The Division of Labor and Society, which is a very good book, I'm on Twitch at Savant of Illusions, all lowercase. You know, I've got some videos up there. Lots of stuff going on. I'm gonna keep on streaming it on there. We're in chapter 2. We're about to finish chapter 2 and get into chapter 3. And I think I'm just gonna do the whole thing. I have a second edition the free press copy, with the introduction by Louis Kauser, who founded Dissent magazine. And yeah, I mean, I love that book. So I just decided to read it, and I'm thinking, you know, there's a lot of things in this, like even in the preface and the introduction, but there's a lot going on in that book that is, I feel like people are kind of ripping off in the culture war or whatever, on the bigger right-winger platforms, and it's not really per se a right-wing book, or per se. And I don't think Durkheim's a fascist. I think he's what they call a market socialist, maybe, but he's more of a moral socialist. He really was more focused on sciencing the morality of society, and diverging from the race scientists in every possible way. So I don't see Durkheim as a fascist. I think I've seen that opinion somewhere, somehow. I don't agree. I don't think that we need to be imagining that we have fascist architects of social science that we still actually rely on. Durkheim was good. He was very good at, as far as like in his antiquated day, trying to come up with philosophy of science, which is of course what he had to do in order to create the idea that morals of a society could be engineered, but that you had to start seeing basically populations as modules in a way. I mean, I use a lot of updated jargon, stuff that I think he is alluding to that we've sort of developed now. Anyway, I'm very good at interpreting him. I get his nuance completely. I get that he's trying to establish a discipline. I understand that he is, coming to terms with the fact that there are many thinkers out there who would, I guess, rather do without a more scientific approach, in order that they have, I guess, some kind of social and or political influence. Yeah, I know he's not into it at all, like not having it. So anyway, I love his writing. He has so many good one-liners, and he has a ton of beautiful quotes, actually. I don't think that his idea as far as the corporation and how that should be defined and exist in society is, I don't think that it's necessarily like the Holy Grail or anything like that. I do like the fact that he's a legal positivist, and I do like the fact that he's interested in employment rights quite a bit more than anybody else at the time, unless they were saying the workers need to own the means of production. He said, nah, they probably don't, but they do need to basically own the means of establishing their own rights and regulations in their own industries that they work in. That's essentially what it is. So the money, is arbitrary, I guess, because it could exist a number of different ways as far as people being compensated to a satisfactory degree. He knew, I think, that people could be quenched as far as the compensation, but that actually, think about it. If you own the means of production, right, but you still have these like incredibly tedious, crappy, pinhead pounding jobs or whatever, and horrible rights, is it worth it? So he found this sort of median solution in his head, I think, as far as how this would work as societies and economies are concerned. Like, you have to actually give them more legal leeway, give them more legal flexibility, give them more legal equity, I suppose, is the word today. He didn't say that word. He said some other weird words that I'm not going to repeat. But you see, he knew that it doesn't have to be all Marxist necessarily. If we've got laws in a society, the laws could be seen as the means to establishing an industry. And if you give people basically control over the establishment of and the legal regulation of an entire industry that they work in, right? That's a trade-off that they will have over means of production. So that's what he's getting at, basically. In his mind, this behavioral experiment, if there's a revolutionary, ends for the means, it's like, oh, actually, if people think about it a little bit more, they're going to want control. Probably equally as much as they want means of production. But if they get control, they don't necessarily need means of production entirely. He sees it as you can't even talk about means of production without having the legal regulatory control. So, that's more important. Basically, you have to give up the idea of one for the other because, the former might be the most obvious thing to people, the most immediate thing to people. But if you want to play this sort of long game, you get into the law. You get into how do we actually put the law in the hands of the workers. So honestly, I thought that was a good move. It's just so weird to me that it's not more influential, because it is essentially, I think, kind of not the missing link that anarchists need, but it's a point that it's making a point that they need to be making, and they don't make enough, and then they don't, and then they don't interpret law correctly. And they're even, I get it. They don't interpret law correctly sometimes. I get it. But some of us do, actually. And there are several of us, and we are not on social media getting huge followings, or maybe we are, and pretending not to be that. I have no idea. But I actually know, I've met in my lifetime a couple of anarchist lawyer girls, and one of them was a trans woman, actually, and I don't think that they were going to be particularly bad at it. It really is, I think, a social, it's a social risk, obviously. You know, if people are gonna misinterpret laws and then say like you're not my friend if you don't think this way, but like you have a law degree in international something something, it's like, well, okay, yeah, that's, you know, obviously that's not gonna work, right? It's not gonna work. I'm not saying I have a law degree, but I'm not gonna get into the things right now that are most obvious that I think actually you could say the collective consciousness, if they're, you know, of the left, really doesn't understand and isn't going to speak out loudly against people misinterpreting. I'm not doing it. It's not for any particular reason other than I would like to get on about PragerU and the fact that they don't necessarily care, I guess, about men. Should we say it that way? I mean, I'm not claiming radical feminists give a crap about men. No, I'm not. They definitely give more of a crap about women. I don't think there's anything necessarily evil or inherently bad to society as far as that. I don't think that people or movements seeming to have an impact on society is as bad as a conservative thinks it is at all. You know, I really don't, because obviously if the collective consciousness says, oh, well, we'll tolerate this, then society, you know, is happy to decide how it's going to change. And that's perfectly fine. Except for the fact that there is something aggressive about people. And people don't understand people. They don't. You know, I know that people don't really know what's going on, Jordan. I do. I know that they tell themselves whatever they think they need to hear sometimes when it comes to understanding their own behavior. But I also know that there are people who don't have to study people necessarily, and of course they inexplicably develop incredible social skills, or have the gift of gab or whatever. Sure. And there's all kinds of stuff, or like, you know, of course, Jordan, like there's so many things people do that nobody ever taught them necessarily, or they never saw anybody do. I get it. You know, I'm not going to get into it. I'm just trying to make you feel confident enough in the belief that you and we have the same information, or at least partially the same information, as far as what really happened here, as far as why I'm making this video, as far as what you did, as far as PragerU, okay? So you know, I guess I want you or somebody to respond to this, like your daughter, who's probably going to want to know if, you know, I'm right, but I doubt a whole lot of people are going to watch this video. I just, you know, I'm not sure. Honestly, I just don't know if this is ever going to gain any traction. I mean, people really don't like me very much. The feminists, who are all up into their script, do not like me because I have something different to say, okay, about their treasured, you know, hall pass to anti-racism. Okay. Like, I get it. You know, I'm the person that's like, well, actually, you know, like, I don't know, I made up some fake hall passes and like swapped them for the real ones, and I've got a real one and you've got a fake one, and what if that was actually, you know, dubious or whatever? Like, I'm that person, okay? I'm that person who might be trying to figure out how to game this system, because I had to give up my family because they are on one side, you know, misogynists, incredibly narcissistic misogynists, And on the other side, not only that, but the Klan. So, how are we going to do this, Jordan? What do you want to say to me? You know, what do you want, Jordan? What did you want this? What did you think you were doing? Right? Of course, everybody wants to know. I think I can probably interpret you. And accurately, actually. I think I can probably profile you accurately. You know, Jordan, I'm a counter-terrorist, okay? Like, you cannot hide from me. I watch way too much crazy right-wing content, Jordan. And I don't think that I am blowing your cover or anything like that. And I don't necessarily think that you meant to, I don't know, hurt people, but I think maybe you just didn't know what else to say. You know, you just didn't know, I guess, how to get out there to appeal to these people, and you will effectively blame the audience that Prager has. And you need to understand that blaming is aggressive, Jordan. When you're blaming people for what you did, it's aggressive. All right? Not sorry. I love you. I mean, I wanted to love you, Jordan. It's just, you're making it very difficult for a smart person, okay? A smart person is talking to you right now. All right? And if you can maybe get a hold of Tetsuro in Japan at the Kyoto Primatology Research Center, Jordan, we could be friends. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Jordan. I'm just kidding. You know why? I don't need you, Jordan. I don't need you. I don't need you to talk to him for me, Jordan. You know why? Because I have the big brain, okay? I have the big savant brain, Jordan, that can explain how, oh, I don't know, savants don't have to know what they're doing to be doing it, Jordan. There isn't really an intelligent enough savant out there that can explain what several of the savant skills as well as the nonverbal low IQ savants are doing, Jordan. Come on now. This is precious and rare, Jordan. I am the only person in the world who can do what I do. Not you. You thought you could just outsmart a bunch of dumb people in the media. We know that. We both know that, Jordan. Come on. We do. For sure. I'm not calling you a terrorist. And I'm not calling PragerU a terrorist organization at all. But I think we both know what they should do with your video. Or, you know, if you want to defend having it up, what should you do, Jordan? You know, what should you do? Don't be aggressive with me. I am somebody's mother, okay? I will do things to you, Jordan. I will punish you. I will punish you, Jordan, if you are aggressive. So, let me be clear. I expect a response. I'm not giving you a time limit or anything. I'm just going to keep streaming until somebody says, dear God, this woman has no life, which is accurate. 100% accurate, by the way. Yeah. So, your move, we can say it, we can pretend it's 3D chess if you want. I mean, I don't care. Like, did I just put you in check? Is that where we're at right now? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I've already checkmated you in my head no matter what happens. I have every way of going from this point. Like, I have mastered you, Jordan. So I just want you to sleep on it at least one night. Do me a favor and wait at least a day from seeing this and finding out. I want you to wait at least a day. Probably a weekend would be better. A nice, relaxing weekend. Go for a walk. Get out in nature, okay? But get your shit together because, seriously, Jordan, what are you gonna... You've got to atone, Jordan. You've got to do something, some sort of atonement. And you know, they can forgive you. And they might even want to make an example of forgiveness. So think about it, Jordan. Seriously. I want you to take it very seriously. You're busted. You were so busted.